What's up guys, TopTierYugioh here, and today we're going to have another theory video. This one's going to focus more on deck building, but the topic that I want to cover is efficiency and how to use that in your deck building. And so let's start with the physical definition of what efficiency is. And so efficiency is a ratio of the energy or work that you get out of a system compared to the energy or work that you put into a system. And so ideally, you get a lot of output with very minimal input. And so very efficient engines tend to conserve energy and then minimize the loss of energy. In a lot of cases, they're able to recycle it as well. But in Yu-Gi-Oh! And deck building, we're not so worried about energy, but rather we're more worried about our resources. Let's actually start by reviewing the different resources in the game, and then we'll move on from there. And so there are three major different resources in Yu-Gi-Oh! Those are card advantage, tempo, and then the philosophy of fire. So card advantage is the resource that you start with and naturally gain. An example of this would be your cards, and so the cards that you have available to you in your hand or on the field. And then tempo is the resource that you don't start off with and naturally gain, such as time, more turns, your ability to normal and pendulum summon, your battle phase, and the ability to activate cards and effects. And then fire is what you start with and naturally lose. Examples are your life points and then the cards you have in your deck and graveyard. And so if you're unfamiliar with these resources, I do have a playlist of videos explaining all of these in depth. And so I would strongly recommend watching that playlist or any of those videos before moving on in this one. And it's going to make this video make a lot more sense. And so I would open those up in a new tab, or maybe like this video and then come back to it later and then watch it, because once you understand these resources and how to manage them, the rest of this video will make a lot more sense. And so most engines try to exchange one or more of these resources for another one of them, and the most efficient ones are again able to recycle these resources. That's very important. So let's start with a few examples and comparisons. And so first I want to compare the Predaplant engine to the Speedroid engine, because they have very similar goals. They both make rank 3s, but they differ in terms of efficiency. And so for the Predaplant engine, we're mostly talking about Scorpio and Cobra, and then for the Speedroids we're talking about Terratop and Take-Tumborg. But Scorpio is almost always going to require your normal summon. It requires Cobra in your deck, and then it requires a monster in hand to discard. And so because it requires a normal summon, which is a component of tempo, it requires you to have a monster in your hand, so you need card advantage. And then you need a specific card in your deck, which is a component of fire. This requires all three of your resources. But as for what you get out of this engine, you get to special summon your Cobra from your deck. And the Cobra is going to get you a fusion or polymerization card. And then you're also probably going to be able to make a rank 3. And so the Predaplant engine requires card advantage, tempo, and fire. And then you're going to get back out of it more card advantage and then more tempo, because you're going to be able to summon more monsters with that fusion and then with their rank 3. But overall, you can't get back that fire. Like once Cobra is out of your deck, your Predaplant engine is dead. So if you draw two Scorpios, you can't really use them. Or if you draw Cobra before Scorpio, or if you draw Cobra at all actually, like the engine just won't work. And so now if we compare this to the Speedroid engine, Terratop doesn't require any other cards in hand or in your field. You can just special summon it. It can be your only card. You can just special summon it. It doesn't require your normal summon, and it doesn't require any other cards in your deck. Like you can have Take-Tumborg in your hand, and it still works fine. So the Speedroid engine requires very little resources, but as for what you get out of it, you get to make your rank 3. And so you don't get as much out of it. You don't get to search that fusion card, but you're not putting as much into it. And so because of this, the Speedroids are more efficient. And this is why in almost any deck where you want to make rank 3s, I would choose to go with the Speedroid engine over the Predaplants any day, because they're just more efficient. You don't have to put in as many resources, and you get almost as much out of it. So let's look at some other examples. Let's look at the Zoodiac engine. Zoodiacs don't necessarily need any other cards in your hand or on the field. You can have like one rat and your combo goes off, one barrage, and that's all you need. So there's so many one card combos, so you don't need any card advantage. They don't always even need your normal summon. So if you have a barrage, you can special summon a rat. And so like at worst, you need a normal summon. And then you don't need any specific cards in your deck. It doesn't take any life points or anything either. You can draw your rat and still do your combo perfectly. You can have a hand of like 2 rat, 3 whiptail, and a thoroughblade and still be able to go off. And so similarly to the Speedroids, the Zoodiac engine requires very little resources in order to get started. But then what you get out of it, you're going to be able to draw a couple cards. You're going to be able to fusion summon, XZ summon multiple times, so you're getting tempo, card advantage. And then at the end of it, you're able to go into that Gusto Emerald and put cards back into your deck so you can gain fire as well. And so at worst, the Zoodiacs require a little bit of tempo from your normal summon, but you're getting out of it card advantage, tempo, and fire. So you're getting all 3 resources with only a minimal input of one of them. So the Zoodiacs are a very efficient engine. So now let's move on to True Kings. And so True Kings are a little bit different in that they require a lot of card advantage, because their main searcher is Dragonic Diagram. Diagram requires you to have other cards to destroy. And in your True Kings, of course, they also require other cards for you to destroy. So you need a lot of cards in order to use your True Kings optimally. But so looking at the resources that you get out of them, there's a lot of different utility actually. And so if you use Lithosagem or the Wind one, they both give you more fire because they attack your opponent's deck. So Lithosagem will banish cards from your opponent's extra deck, and then the wind one will banish cards off the top of your opponent's deck. So both of those are a component of the philosophy of fire. And then the fire and water True Kings will banish cards from your opponent's side of the field, which, you know, card advantage. And then if you can summon multiple True Kings, then you're able to go into True King of all calamities, keep your opponent from activating effects, so you can also get tempo out of your engine. So you can get all 3 types of resources out of this engine. It only requires a lot of card advantage to put into the engine. And then you can also recycle your cards pretty well too with True Kings. And so if Lithosagem or the Fire True King are destroyed, you're going to be able to get more True Kings from your graveyard. And then if the Wind or Water True Kings are destroyed, you're able to get more of them from your deck. And so you're able to search, recycle, and recover your resources very well. You're also able to gain all 3 different types of resources. But the only problem with the True Kings are that they require a lot of card advantage to put into the engine. So now let's move on to True Dracos. True Dracos are very similar to True Kings in that they require a lot of card advantage. You need cards to destroy with Diagram, and then you also need cards to tribute in order to summon your True Dracos. But again, similarly to True Kings, you get a lot of resources out of that. And so if you summon Dynamite Fighter, that's going to be able to search your traps. And then there's one trap that allows you to special summon from your graveyard, which gives you card advantage and it recycles. If you can summon Ignis Heat, that's going to search your spells. Then you have a draw spell card and another one that recycles and then draws you cards. So again, you're able to recycle your cards, and then both of those give you card advantage. And then all the spell or traps have the ability to help you tribute summon again. So they're all giving you more tempo. Then if you summon Maiden, that can search monsters, which will allow you to search Masterpiece, which is another tempo monster, as well as another card advantage monster because you can destroy your opponent's cards while interrupting their plays. And then again, the spell card that recycles your True King spell or traps back onto your deck, that gives you more fire. And so out of the card advantage that you have to put into the engine, you get out of it more card advantage, more tempo out of the ability to tribute summon more than once per turn, and then you're getting more fire by putting those cards back into your deck so that you can search them again. So this is getting a little longer than I expected, but the point I was trying to make is that you should consider efficiency when deck building, because understanding what resources you put into an engine and then get out of it gives you insight into how to build and then play that deck. And so for example, a lot of you noticed that I wasn't playing the Predaplant engine in the True King Subterror deck. The reason for that is that Subterrors require card advantage, True Kings require card advantage, and the Predaplants require card advantage. So you need a lot of cards in order to get that engine going. It's very hard to like discard a monster for a Scorpio and also have more monsters to destroy with Lithosagem or to have for your Subterror engine. And so that can hurt your consistency. Versus the Speedroid engine, which doesn't require very much to put into it, but it can give you a lot of things out of it. And so another example of when this theory is useful is when building hybrid decks. And so if you look at Zoodiac True Dracos, for example, one of the best decks of the format for sure, the True Draco engine requires a lot of card advantage. You need cards to destroy with Draconic Diagram, and you need more cards to tribute for your tribute summons. But this can be difficult to have when you're going first and you only have 5 cards. So if you're not seeing cards that give you instant advantage like Card of Demise and Pot of Desires, it can be difficult to build strong boards going first. And now Zoodiacs sort of fixed this problem because Zoodiacs are a very efficient engine where you don't have to put in too many resources, but a single card can give you a lot of extra resources. So like if you just have a Terratop or a Rat or a Barrage, you're going to be able to draw multiple cards and also summon multiple monsters to the field that you can tribute for your tribute summons, or just drawing cards in general to be destroyed by Diagram. It just really fixes some of the problems that True Dracos have. And then you can extend this further to create your own hybrids. And so you just want to look at engines that complement each other in this regard, and then combine them. Like if you look at Zoodiac Subterrors, Subterrors are another deck that need a lot of card advantage to get going. Zoodiacs, once again, are probably one of the best engines at gaining card advantage easily, which is why their hybrids are very strong. So like most players build their decks based on what they see and what they hear, but I think that you should base your deck building choices more on theory and then statistics, and this is really just another theoretical tool for deck building. And so it's something to keep in mind. And I hope this video was informational and useful to a lot of you guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and then if you're really trying to improve your game, you should strongly consider subscribing to the channel, because my goal here on YouTube is to build a community of good players, and then to improve my content, improve my own play, and then that's going to allow me to help you guys improve as well. And the best way for me to do that is through uploading more videos. And so you want to be sure to subscribe so that you're notified when I do upload more videos, because videos like this I think are really helpful. Because again, this is another theoretical tool for deck building that you can use to optimize your list and then ultimately build better decks and then win more games. And so one more time, shameless plug, I'm going to put a link to the playlist of all the other Theorio videos in the top right corner of the screen. Definitely check that out if you're interested in more theory. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys later.